بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. This is the second recording in the series of Hajj and Umrah lessons from the book Umdatul Fiqh by Ibn Qudama rahimahullah. Conditions of a mahram for women. ويعتبر للمرأة وجود محرمها وهو زوجها ومن تحرم عليه على التأبيد بنسب أو سبب مباح. For a woman to be considered able to go to Hajj, she must have a mahram with her. This is her husband or one of the men whom she is permanently not allowed to marry because of relationships, by birth, or some permissible reason. Similar to the rulings, similar to the bloodline or the blood ties, are the breastfeeding relationships. And the requirements of a mahram for a woman to go to Hajj is the opinion of the Hanafi and the Hanbali school of thought, while the Maliki and Shafi'i schools do not require it. It is important here to stress that the scholars who require the mahram maintain that if the woman does not find someone after intending to perform Hajj, she will be given the full reward of the Hajj for her intention. And it will only be obligatory upon her once she finds a mahram. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, إن بالمدينة أقواما ما سرتم مسيرا ولا قطعتم واديا إلا كانوا معكم قالوا يا رسول الله ومن هم بالمدينة قال وهم بالمدينة حبسهم العذر قالوا يا رسول الله وهم بالمدينة قال وهم بالمدينة حبسهم العذر. The Prophet ﷺ said about the companions who stayed back in Medina and did not go out to Tabuk, the battle of Tabuk. He says, in Medina there are some people who shared the reward with you whenever you marched or traversed a valley. The companion said, O Messenger of Allah, but they were in Medina. He said, they were in Medina, but because they had some excuse that held them back. This is collected by Bukhari. In addition to obtaining the full reward, the duty of Hajj is removed from her. In other words, it's not obligatory until she finds a mahram. The reason behind the requirement is the following report. عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه أنه سمع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول لا يخلون رجل بامرأة إلا ومعها ذو محرم ولا تسافر امرأة إلا مع ذي محرم. فقام رجل فقال يا رسول الله إن امرأتي خرجت حاجة وإني اكتتبت في غزوة كذا وكذا قال انطلق فحج مع امرأتك. The Prophet ﷺ said, no man should be alone with a woman unless her mahram is present, and no woman should travel unless she has a mahram with her. A man stood up and said, O Messenger of Allah, my wife has gone out for Hajj, and I have been enlisted for such and such a campaign or military campaign. The Prophet ﷺ said, go and perform Hajj with your wife. Collected by Bukhari. The scholars who allow performing Hajj without a mahram, the Maliki and the Shafi'iyya, said that the Prophet ﷺ told him to go out with her, but he did not blame her, and they used the following report to justify their position. The Prophet ﷺ was asking about the level of scrutiny that will prevail in the Arabian Peninsula, and he said, فإن طالت بك الحياة لترين الضئينة ترتحل من الحيرة حتى تطوف بالكعبة لا تخاف أحدا إلا الله. If you live long enough, You will see lone women, lone or a lone woman traveler leaving from Al-Hira until she reaches the Kaaba, fearing none but Allah. This is collected by Bukhari. The scholars who forbid this say that this is merely telling about an event that will take place in the future without any rulings attached to it. Those who prevent it say that the Prophet ﷺ praised her and said that she would fear none but Allah. Thus they say that if scrutiny is guaranteed, she may travel. If security is guaranteed, she may travel with trustworthy companions. So the Prophet ﷺ. So this is one of the evidences for those who say that, for the Maliki and the Shafi'i, who say that as long as there's security, then she may travel without a mahram. But the Hanafi and the Hanbali opinion is that it is a condition for it being obligatory upon her. Otherwise, it is not obligatory upon her. Back to the text. This is her brother, her husband, or one of the men whom she is permanently not allowed to marry because of relationships by birth or some permissible reason. She's permanently not allowed to marry. This is to exclude the temporarily non-marriageable men, such as the husband of her sister or aunt. She's not allowed to marry them temporarily. However, if they were to divorce, then she could marry them, so they are not her mahram, because they are not permanently prohibited for her to marry. And by this, because of relationships by birth or some permissible reason. This is to exclude the ones that are non-marriageable because of an ambiguous or controversial marriage or relationship, such as the daughter of a woman with whom one had illicit sexual intercourse, or an ambiguous marriage. Such as the daughter of a woman with whom one had illicit sexual intercourse, or an ambiguous marriage. Besides kinship, the permissible reasons include breastfeeding and marriage. For example, a man's mother-in-law, he is mahram for her, even though she is not from his kin. Also, after public imprecation, when a man swears, invoking the wrath of Allah, if he is lying that his wife's child is not his, the wife becomes impermissible to remarry forever. But the accusing husband does not have the status of a mahram. Back to the text. وَمَنْ فَرَّطَ حَتَّى مَاتَ أُخْرِجَ عَنْهُ مِنْ مَالِهِ حَجَّةً وَعُمْرَةً. As for the one who neglects Hajj and Umrah until he dies, enough money to perform one Hajj and one Umrah to be done on his behalf should be taken out of his inheritance, out of his estate. Okay, for it is a debt that is owed by the deceased person to Allah Azza wa Jal, as in the following hadith. A woman came to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, "O Messenger of Allah, my mother vowed to perform Hajj but did not, and then she died. Should I perform Hajj on her behalf?" The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Yes, perform Hajj on her behalf, or on behalf of your mother. What do you think if your mother owed a debt? Would you have paid it off?" She said, "Yes." He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, So pay on behalf of the debt that she owes to Allah. for he is more worthy of having commitments to him being fulfilled. This is the end of the second recording, the book of Hajj.